Welcome to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales, where real strategies meet real results. In today's episode, Kevin and Sean break down how smart territory design can fuel sales success and prevent costly turnover. You'll also hear why writing down your territory and account plans is the single most powerful step you can take to drive revenue generation. Stay tuned. This conversation will change how you think about sales management and set you up for your best year yet.
Let's talk definition, not in a Webster's kind of way, but in a where are you expecting your salespeople to lead and drive business to your sales organization? So sales leaders, this is for you, but salespeople also listen up because this is a window to how to lead up in your organization and also how to manage expectations of you from your leadership. This is a holistic approach to building a better sales culture based on intentionality and definition and design, and not just shouting into the ether, not just spraying and praying, and not just knocking on every door hoping that they might fit your ideal client profile. Sean, always good to be with you here. And for our listeners today, let's talk to them about defining territories and being next year, not just next step, obsessed.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in don't look backwards, look forwards. When you're driving down the car, you're not driving with the mirrors, you're driving with your windshield. You need to know a little bit of what's going behind you. You need to know why you're there and make sure that nothing's coming up to grab you. So you're looking out for your competition by looking in your mirrors. Figure out where you're going to go. Figure out how you're going to get there. Figure out your plan. Figure out your map. And defining your territory is incredibly important. We talked a little bit about this in a previous episode in the last couple of weeks, figuring out that some territories are underperforming and some territories are not. That may be because of the new mix of products that you have now. Then when you first set up those territories, that maybe they were always an underperforming territory because rep number one never gave up his good territory or his good clients for rep number two when you hired your second salesperson. And that has happened more than once. Are you giving everybody an adequate availability to go out and win? Now, they don't have to be perfectly even. You don't have to manage your territories and manage your areas that you sell, be they industry-based or be they geography-based. They don't have to be perfectly even. I never believed in that philosophy that they had to be perfectly even. The reality is any given company has less than a 20% market share. Just that's always how it works. And if you're really small, if you're a very young company, you probably have much less than a 20% market share. And I've actually done calculations for people and showed them that they had a 0.2% market share. So being fair, being even is not really necessary when you have 99% of the market that you can't sell to or you haven't sold to. So who cares if it's 99% or if it's 48%? There's still a lot of customers that you haven't sold to. But you do need to make it so that the territory is logical and makes sense and it's fair and your salespeople are thinking fair. And that's a really big thing to think about, that my salespeople, my opportunities are relatively fair because you don't want to have turnover. You don't want people to be upset because they think that you're playing favoritism against them. So work on or think about in your territories, how do I make the territories better? Do I carve a little bit off? Do I adopt verticals? Verticals are expensive, so be careful there, but territories are better if you can sell your product versus on a geography. But are they fair? Do they give the opportunity to achieve what they need to achieve? That way, come November 1st, when you start doing your commission plan, and December 1st, when you start delivering your commission plans to your salespeople, they think that they have a good shot of making that number. Because what you want to have is on December 1st, when you've delivered that sales plan, that first Monday in December, they look at their number and they say, okay, I can do that. I see how that works. That's a fair plan. I just did the math against how I sold last year, and I would have made the same amount or roughly the same amount or more this year. And I can see where we're really emphasizing that brand new thing, that artificial intelligence gadget that we came out with. That's great. We're going to emphasize that. So I feel good. I feel energized. Let's get this next year going. In fact, can we move this comp plan to December 1st rather than January 1st? That'd be a great thing to have a salesperson say, because you want your people to be going forward and working hard from the get-go. And you want them to be motivated to go hunt bear. And so having a fair territory and having that salesperson think that they can make it, that's a winner. Now, I'm primarily talking to sales leaders there. Kevin, back that up a little bit on territories. You just got a new territory and you're a salesperson. How do you think?
We're going to make some assumptions here. We're assuming that your go-to-market requires you to work hard and smart. If you're a salesperson who's just showing up on a milk route with an annuity style business, think like insurance or renewals where you're just doing account management, a new comp plan is probably pretty scary for you because you're used to making a commission or your earnings based on a lot of past performance, and you've built up this book of business, and this can be scary. But the assumption here is that you are stepping into an opportunity, meaning a job, stepping into this job opportunity to earn more, but it requires you to work. And frankly, this whole podcast is around building good systems and organizations that help people grow, and growth is an effort and cash-based event. So when we're talking about designing territories, we're not saying, hey, maximize company profits, minimize salesperson commission or profitability. We're saying, hey, we want to reward salespeople for good effort, and we're helping define what good effort looks like. So for a salesperson, you should be confident, not fearful of the plan. A new commission plan is not an indictment on past performance. A new commission plan is really the executives telling you how and where they want the company to grow. So let that sink in. The commission plan is designed to help the company grow based on your efforts. And it's up to you now to understand how to maximize that plan given the tools that the company's provided. So this really opens up Pandora's box. A couple of questions the salesperson should ask themselves. First is, do I have the right or adequate skills to perform on this plan? Do I have the adequate or right resources, meaning what is the company providing me to perform on this plan? And do I have enough in my pipeline already to execute against this plan, which is really challenging. So you have to think critically. Your sales is a thinking game as well as an action and activity game. You can't just show up and expect marketing to send you all your leads. If you're expecting that, you're customer service, you're not sales, which is a tough reality that to sell, you have to be ready for no, the word no, because you can't win them all. Let's get our mindset right between now and the end of the year so that when we get this new commission plan, we're thinking critically about how do I perform well and how do I end up in President's Circle, President's Club, Founder's Circle, whatever your award circle is for high performance. How do you maximize that? Another easy question for anyone who is a new salesperson is, what must be true for me to perform at my highest level in this plan? What must be true for this to happen? And Sean, what we're really saying there, and you probably got a better way of saying this as well. When you say what must be true, it's what has to happen to ensure that I win.
Absolutely. And a lot of times what has to happen is I need to get my act together. I got to put the plans in place. If I'm a salesperson, I want to start the year. And so therefore I'm thinking about it now because I'm 3 months before the year. And I'm assuming that most people in this audience that are listening to us have a fiscal year that aligns with the calendar year. So I'm going to start my year. I'm going to think 3 or 4 months in advance about how am I going to have a good Q1? Sort of the thing about the planning ahead is how do we make sure that we start the year by beginning the year at the very beginning and very strong, right? So what we don't want to have happen is Q1, we are 40% of our Q1 quota. And your company may not give you quarterly quotas, and that's fine. If they just choose not to do it, they give you 1 year and they say, we don't care how you get there, you just got to get there by the end. But if you think about that, then you need to, as a salesperson, go, my quarterly quota then is 1/4 of that number. And you can be nice to yourself and say, maybe Q1, I'm only going to do 20% because Q1 can sometimes be a challenge, especially if you have a good Q4. But you do not want to be less than 20% of your annual number at the end of Q1. Let's just take that as a given because then you're fighting uphill for the rest of the year. If you are at 30%, at the end of Q1. So April 1st, April Fool's Day, you look at what you did last quarter, last 3 months, and you go, wow, I am 30% of the way there. You are now looking at having an incredibly strong year. You're thinking about a European vacation for the family because you're going to blow out your year, because Q1, that was tough. And we did 30%. Man, we're going to knock it out of the park this year. And that's what you want to be. So think about, what are my action plans for my territory? Did I pick out the top 20 accounts that I am going to grow my relationship, my revenue stream from those 20 accounts by 20%, by 30%? I'm going to grow. You can't say that you're going to double your business at every one of your accounts. Maybe you can, but most people cannot. But I'm going to grow how much money I get from 20 companies. And I'm going to list those companies out. Here it is. It's fall of 2025. I'm looking at 2026, regardless of when you're listening to this podcast. If you picked us up late, now it's 2027 and you're listening to this podcast, that's perfectly fine, because next quarter, you need to think about, how am I going to grow my business in my territory, at my accounts? You're going to pick out those accounts. You're going to make a plan of who else do you need to see within that account to get there. So finally, you are going to finally talk to that VP of engineering that has been blocking you and won't take your appointment. You've been doing a little bit of business with the low levels of this company, and you just know that you have to get to that VP of engineering to get that really big deal done. And you're going to make a plan on how to do it. You're going to build up some friends at the lower levels of the company that are going to introduce you to that VP of engineering. And next year, we are going to get this done, because you know that company can really take advantage of your product or your service and really do great. Start working on that plan now. Start working on, how am I going to get there? Who do I have to meet in my clients, in my prospects, so I can drive revenue, so that when I get my commissions plan on December 1st, I look at it and go, man, this is going to be easy. I'm going home and I'm telling my spouse, let's plan on the big vacation, because I'm going to have a great year. I'm going to have a fantastic year. So let's start planning 13, 14, 15 months out for that big. We're going to go to Australia. We're going to go to Japan. We're going to blow it out. Bora, here we come. That's what you need to think about as you start thinking about next year. Kevin, what do you think about?
And Sean, I want to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable to exactly what we mean, because I didn't do a great job of saying what should happen as a part of the what must be true. And this is the opportunity for us to say, think about all these things, think critically, do all these things. But now here's the thing. I'm picking up my pen off my desk. I'm picking up the keyboard, and I'm going to type and write these down and memorialize. I'm going to capture all this thinking, because if it's written, it's real. A territory action plan and a major account plan, a strategic account acquisition plan, when it is written, you have things like, here's the cast of characters. Here is the person who is a headwind for me. Here's the person that's I must go to qualification here. Here's my coach. Here's my champion. We're starting to design the how we win at these accounts thinking, and that becomes really important. And I don't want to give away too much of the secret sauce here, but as an owner, as a sales leader, as a salesperson, if you're not writing these things down and referencing them, you're missing an opportunity to earn more money. At the end of the day, you can start winning better, winning more frequently when you write your goals down, when you write your plans down. Because when a plan is written, and I know that we can look at that plan and go, am I achieving this? Am I holding myself accountable? If no one else, if I don't have a peer or a boss in the organization to hold myself accountable, leaders, owners, sales leaders, I'm looking at you. If you are struggling to find somebody to hold you accountable, you have to hold yourself accountable. Start with the plan, captured, written, typed, or otherwise. Get it on paper, because when that event happens, you'll know who to ask for help from. You'll know who must be connected to. So you've got a plan of, next time you're out networking and you find somebody in that company that you've never met before, you say, oh, that's interesting. I'd like to know more about you. And I've been trying to connect to your company because of you have a plan for not only networking, but outreach, connection, activation, growth. When it's written, it's real. So I don't want to overbeat that horse here, but I can't emphasize the importance of it enough. You must do that. Sean and I would take that one step further. When we coach sales teams, we say, get it into CRM, because the customer relationship management starts with a plan. You've got a territory plan, you've got a product plan, you've got a product roadmap if you're in software, you've got a territory, geography, vertical plan. When those plans show up with 20 strategic accounts for account-based marketing, then you can go have a conversation with your marketing resource to take that conversation about that customer that's going to help you achieve your highest and best value in your commission plan across the finish line. And speaking of finish lines, we're right here at the top of our 15 minutes. Thank you for your time. We're glad you're here listening to us. Come back next week where we'll dig into another component of solving a sales problem that's pretty common in many industry. Maybe it'll apply to you. If not there, join us in the B2B Sales Lab where you can ask peers some of those hard-hitting questions you don't necessarily want to ask on LinkedIn. Till then, happy selling.
What a fantastic conversation today. Kevin and Sean really brought clarity to the often overlooked topic of fairness in sales territories. I especially appreciated Sean's point that territories don't have to be perfectly even, but they must be logical and fair to keep your team engaged and motivated. That simple distinction between even and fair can make or break a sales culture, and it's a perspective every sales leader should carry into their planning. And let's not forget the powerful actionable item from this episode, writing down your territory and account growth plan before the new year begins. Putting your strategy in writing, whether in a notebook or your CRM, turns vague intentions into concrete commitments. It's the one step you can take today that will pay dividends all year long, so don't let the urgency of daily business push it off your list. If you need help with sales, sales management, or simply growing your company, remember that Sean and Kevin are here to support you. Their contact information is in the show notes, and they welcome the chance to connect. You can also join the B2B Sales Lab, a private community where salespeople and sales leaders come together to ask tough questions, share proven strategies, and access resources designed to help you hit and exceed quota. You'll find the B2B Sales Lab URL right there in the show notes. So make sure you subscribe to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales on your favorite podcast player, and come back next week for more insights you can put to work immediately. We'll be here, ready to challenge your thinking and sharpen your sales strategies. Until next time, keep your plans written, your territories fair, and your momentum strong.